On the show today, in a bid to save an ailing sector, South Africa's mining industry body files for judicial review of mining charter. And Cameroon supports 2,000 young farmers in rural areas with investment capital. Plus, gender parity in boardrooms takes center stage in discussions at Africa's CEO Forum. Hello and welcome to Business Incorporated. I'm Emana Amawe. Let's begin with some of the markets we track here on the program. And here on the continent, some of the markets trended mostly negative at intraday, except the South African JSE, which was 0.64% higher. Nigeria's main index was 0.04% southwards as at midday, while the EGX 30 had lost about 0.13%. The Kenyan bourse also closed negative on Tuesday. And it's a mixed bag in the Middle East as at intraday, with the Abu Dhabi and Dubai markets pointing south. Qatar was up 1.71%, while the Saudi index was over 0.5% higher, also at about midday Nigerian time. And over in Europe, the stocks traded mixed as market players are taking a cautious stance amid worries of a possible U.S. recession and fears of a slowdown in economic growth. Well, for more from the European space, let's join my colleague Daniel Koop at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Hello, Daniel. It's good to be back on the program with you. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, good to be back with you on the program as well. Greetings from Frankfurt over to Lagos.
Thank you, Daniel. The European Central Bank and its Waters Conference with the central banks from across the globe are in talks today in Frankfurt. Mario Draghi was speaking there earlier on about economic growth and recession. Can you give us more of the details on his message?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was attending the conference, which is just a few blocks here away from the Frankfurt Stock Exchange taking place. And it was very interesting what Super Mario, that's how many call him here in the financial world, had to say. We have to remember that he is going to leave the European Central Bank by October this year, and it was very interesting to see how, what he thinks about the current financial situation of the Eurozone. And he was again very clear that he believes that the European economy is not as healthy as it should be, and that's why he was pointing out once again that he feels that the interest rates that are here at a level of this record low of only 0%, that this should continue in order to support the worldwide and mostly, of course, the European economy. Many people, and mostly in banks here, of course, in Europe and in Germany, they have asked for this monetary policy to change. They are very frustrated about the current situation. But Mario Draghi thinks it's the right thing. We have to remember also that he was reducing the bond purchasing program last year. It was cut down to zero from 60 billion euros a year to only 30 billion euros a year. So this remains. But yeah, we don't really believe that in the near future this monetary policy of 0% interest rate is going to change. So that was the key message, and it was very interesting, to see how he sees all of the situation.
All right, Daniel, let's close in more on Super Draghi, as you call him, that not Super Mario now, Super Draghi. He's due to retire in October. What more do we know about his likely successors, and what agenda would they be taking on when they come on board?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is the 1 million or maybe even billion euro question here in the financial world. And I can tell you that everybody here in the financial world is extremely anxious to know what is going to happen, who is, going to fulfill those big shoes that he is certainly leaving here. Well, there have been for a time quite some names, in the discussion. Let's talk, for example, example, about Jens Weidmann. He is the current head here of the German central bank. He has not been very shy. He always said that he would be very interested to take over this job. But just like Mario Draghi, he does not have so many fans. I mean, Mario Draghi, we have to remember, he is very, famous in countries, for example, like Italy. He used to be the head of the Italian central bank there, and also in Greece, because they supported very much the country during the financial crisis. But on the other hand, mostly here in Germany, he is not famous at all. In the case of Jens Weidmann, the scenario is a little bit different. Lots of people here in Germany would like him to see in the position of the head of the European Central Bank. But when you talk to people, for example, in Spain or in Italy, they don't see that he would be the right choice. So there was a survey that was published just a few days ago by economists here around Europe, and we are hearing two names that seem to be very favored. Actually, I'm not so good in pronunciation when it comes to Finnish names. On the one hand, it's Erkki Liikanen. He's the former head of the Finnish Central Bank, and also François Villery de Gallo. He is the current head of the French Central Bank. Those seem to be two favorites at the moment. We simply don't know how all of this is going to be decided, but certainly the new successor of Mario Draghi, he or she will have lots of things to do, because it is clear that at one point there has to be a change of the monetary policy. Europe cannot remain with a 0% interest rate, for a couple of more years. So lots of tasks for the possible successor.
All right, Daniel, so you keep your eyes on those two names, and eventually when one comes up, we'll find out the exact pronunciation. But just before I let you go, there seems to be some big news about a possible joint venture between Amazon and Volkswagen. What can you tell us about this big corporation in the book?
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, when I was reading about this morning for the first time, I mean, I'm pretty well informed. I was surprised first, because I was like, what is Amazon and Volkswagen? What are they going to do? Are they going to do some, delivery, or is Amazon now, only going to use Volkswagen cars in order to deliver their parcel? Of course, that is not the case. Amazon is very good and has lots of experience when it comes to cloud business, and it seems that Volkswagen wants to use the cloud, servers and the cloud system that has, been managed by Amazon very successfully in the last years. We are also hearing that they are talking indeed about a longer cooperation, and that this platform could be potentially used also by other car makers, not just of the Volkswagen group like Audi or Porsche or, Skoda, but also from other car makers. Well, why is this happening? In the case of Volkswagen, we have to remember that the company is very much under pressure. I mean, their sales numbers are very good, but they have to invest lots of money into the e-mobility sector, and that is certainly very, very expensive. So that's why they're thinking that with this possible joint venture now between Volkswagen and Amazon, they will be able to generate more synergies and at the same time more cost cutting, because the boss of Volkswagen, he has been very clear. He has this goal until 2023 to increase the productivity of Volkswagen Group by 30%. So lots of work to do. They need some cost saving, some cost cutting. That's why we're talking now here about this joint venture.
Interesting indeed, and some good news for both companies. Well, it's always a pleasure talking with you, Daniel. Thank you for talking with us on the show. Now, for the rest of the markets,